Good
Good
evening,
evening.
everyone. Welcome to our May 2025. That's so funny. Every time I say it, I'm like, oh my goodness.
I know I'm still in March,
I know. I feel
just
like I'm still in
personally.
2024. Anyways, welcome to our May 2025 book club discussion. The Page Turner with Viola Shipman, also known as the fabulous Wade Rouse. I am Lisa Harrison, and I'm here with my co-host, Brenda. And we're excited to just dive in. The electricity and excitement around this book and this book club discussion from all of you has been so awesome. We have felt it. So we do not want to keep you waiting. Brenda, do you want to introduce our special guest?
Absolutely. I am just very excited to. So tonight we have joining us the fabulous Wade Rouse, aka Viola Shipman, and he is the USA Today Publishers Weekly and #1 international best-selling author of 20 books, including, get this, 5 memoirs, 12 novels, and 3 holiday novellas.
Yay.
2025 is a big year with 3 books being published, including his latest Viola Shipman novel, The Page Turner, that we've heard a little bit about and we'll be discussing tonight. Wade's books have been translated into nearly 30 languages and have been bestsellers across the world. His novel, The Secret of Snow, was recently optioned for a TV movie. Wade chose his grandmother's name, Viola Shipman, as a pen name to honor the working poor Ozark seamstress whose sacrifices changed his family's life and whose memory inspires his fiction. Wade earned his BA from Drury University and his master's in journalism from Northwestern University. He divides his
Woo.
time between Saugatuck, Michigan and Palm Springs, California, and is also an acclaimed writing teacher who has mentored numerous students to become published authors. He is also host of the popular Facebook Live literary happy hour, Wine and Words with Wade. So since I was able to say Wine and Words with Wade, I want to say welcome, Wade.
Yay!
There they are. I love you.
We love you back.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I have to start. I just have to say thank you. You both truly launched the Page Turner into the world at Foxtail Bookshop. It was my launch event for the book, and I really, you made it a party. We almost burned a chandelier down. I can't
We're not
thank
going to talk.
it was one of the best events I've ever done in my life, and all because of you. So
Oh,
thank you from the bottom of my heart again for that night.
thank
Oh,
you.
thank you,
We
Wade. We had a blast.
we had a ball. It was our first in-person conversation, like launch party. And for us, it was the best thing too. We had so much fun, but we laughed about that beach ball.
And here's why we laughed, Wade. I don't know if you really knew this, but if you recall when we were planning, I made this suggestion about the beach ball, and Lisa was like, no, no, I think too many things can go wrong. Well, what can go wrong? Just ask them and see if they'll do it. And they said, okay, with kind of a nervous, okay. And
Yeah,
then
they
we
were like,
launched into the chandelier.
It was perfection, and no one was hurt. So it was all
That's
great.
right.
so for those of you who weren't there when we did the launch party at Foxtail, we did have little beach balls. Brenda hit the first one out and it landed in the chandelier above everyone. So we had
Above
to
a
stop
reader.
and climb up there. They had to get it out so it wouldn't burn the place down. And then the second one hit a lovely woman in the side of the face. So that was
It
fun.
was everything you could
Everyone
have dreamed of for a book launch.
It was hilarious. Everyone laughed, and no one will ever forget it.
And you two, honestly, you are made for this. You were it was the
Oh,
best conversation, the best questions, the
Oh,
the most fun, the best interaction with the audience. And because I always say this, I'm always humbled when people come to a book event, but I always love when there's incredible engagement with the readers that are there. And you guys really made that happen. So I appreciate it.
oh, thank you.
oh,
It
thanks so
was,
much.
yeah, it was great.
It was.
We do have a few photos I'll be happy to put up here for those who were not able to attend. We didn't get
Yay.
the beach ball on the chandelier though.
It was melting.
I love your face there, Wade. We need to caption this on the page.
This is when I realized that it wasn't just a normal punch. There was actually vodka in it, which I didn't realize till my first one went down.
And here's our
Oh,
Friends in Fiction book club members who were there,
the cutest picture.
Yay.
and the whole gang.
Ah, such a great night.
That was so much fun. And
Oh,
I bought this shirt for the page turner. It's my page turner shirt. So I wore it again tonight
And I mean,
in
it's
honor of our book
perfect.
club discussion.
It is perfect.
wait,
And
I've
we
got to
all
do it
cleaned it
too
up.
so we can have a screenshot.
And Brenda wore her pink jacket and I wore my pink sweater and flowered shirt. So, I mean, give us a theme. We will run with it, folks.
I know. We are
Oh,
fabulous. Oh, I knew tonight was gonna be fun. This is good. We have to focus. We have to get to the
I know we got to rein it
fi-
back in.
we can finally talk about the book.
Okay, so let's get started here. Book club members, as we begin, please be sure to put additional questions in the chat. And always, we're spoiler free until 7:15, but after that,
Yeah,
anything goes. That gives us lots of time to dig into this fabulous
yeah.
story. In the meantime, Wade, would you give us a quick summary for those who are tuning in just for the spoiler free time?
Yeah, elevator pitch. The page turner
Yes.
is about a recent college graduate named Emma Page, who's just out of the University of Michigan, and she's done something most people would be thrilled to announce to their parents and to the world. She's written a book inspired by the romances that she used to read with her grandmother, but she can't tell her parents because they own a kind of a snotty literary independent press in New York called the Mighty Pages. And they really look down on anything that's too commercial. Um, and so she doesn't. She keeps it a secret. And she returns for the summer to her beloved grandmother, her Gigi's cottage in South Haven, Michigan, which is just south of where I live, down here on the coast of Michigan. It's called the Blueberry Capital. Very, very
I
good.
love it.
And she kind of disappears into the memories of her grandmother, despite her father's latest book being published. And it's while she's there, she uncovers in her grandmother's office some hidden manuscripts that kind of have the power to upend her family's legacy. And it ends up falling into the hands of a very famous, the world's most famous romance author who has the also the power to destroy the family. So it's inspired a little bit by Mary Kay Andrews type mysteries, which I wanted to incorporate for the first time in a novel, which no spoilers, I won't give anything away regarding that yet. But as we've talked a lot about this is a book about how books and reading really change and save our lives, and about using our voices for good in this world.
Oh, excuse me, that is just awesome. And I have to say, first of all, I just love all the themes that you touched on in this novel. I mean, it pulls open the curtain behind the publishing industry, which is always interesting to me. It tackles those family dynamics that are so common yet frustrating
Yeah.
to us in the world, and the power of place. And
Hmm.
it hit a really deep chord with me. And on top of that, we'll talk about a little later. You mentioned it. You put a lot of mystery into this one, and we
We
definitely want
loved
to
it.
look at yeah, want to look at that a little later because it was very very devious
Yeah.
in the plot line. Not devious, that's not right. Clever, I'll put it that way.
And I
So
really do. I do love. I'm a big fan of Mary Kay's books, and I love that they're always universally appealing, but there's a hidden story there, which I always love
mhm.
that she explores, and she does it. Always has done it beautifully in a way that I think um, weaves in perfectly with the story without ever overpowering it. So I did. I read a lot of her books and kind of over the last few years, and that kind of just resonated as something that I really wanted to try.
Oh, wonderful. Well, it definitely worked for me as a reader. Well, I'd like to start with your main character, Emma, who's the romance writer that you mentioned in the summary. And being a writer, what was it like for you to write a book about an aspiring writer? And did you use any of your own tips and tricks of the trade in her writing?
Yeah, very much so. And Emma is based largely on me, and in many ways, I my first book that I ever wrote, America's Boy, which is a memoir, was about my family and growing up in the Missouri Ozarks, which, by the way, is being republished at the end of this month. And
Yay.
I was scared to tell my family about it. I was scared to kind of reveal secrets about our family and the loss of my brother, um, and so I
Hmm.
tried to fictionalize it and not listen to my voice. And all of that is the worst thing you can do as a writer. It's the worst thing you can do is not trust yourself. So she's patterned largely on me, and there are a lot of pieces in there. Some of my, I love being a traditionally published author, but there's a lot of issues and difficulties and challenges in the publishing world today, as you both are very well aware of, that I wanted to tackle. And there's a lot of writing tips in the book too that Emma shares that are directly from me. One I share at almost every single event, which is, you know, every author writes about the same topics, love and death and loss and war, whatever, pets, whatever it might be. We use the same words, we use the same linguistic tool belt, but it's how we bring that story to life. It's by, listening to our unique voices, listening to our heart. That's what sets us apart and makes every story special. So a lot of her perspective and thinking and the way she brings her own book to life is exactly the way I approach writing.
That's
That's awesome.
fabulous. I love it.
I just want to remind everyone watching that if you have questions for Wade, please put them in the chat and we'll try to go ahead and um, we'll ask as many as we can throughout the evening. We know you guys have a lot of questions. So for me, I want to ask about, well, I'm trying to see, this question could be a spoiler, so maybe well, we're almost at spoiler time at
7:14.
7:13.
Just speak
Yeah, we're good.
slowly,
So yeah, I'll go real slow.
like me.
One of the things that I loved about this book was I felt like it was such a win for women in so many ways because you did a whole spotlight on the lack of representation of women in the publishing industry. You shared about like Emma's speech at the end,
Hmm.
um, when she talks about, I don't think this is really a spoiler, but just talking about struggles women have, being judged, fear of judgment. That whole entire thing, it resonated so well with me because you really captured like our experience as women in the world, in the workplace, being judged for what we wear, what we say, what we don't say, how we act, how we look, how we dress. Do you have kids? You have kids, but you don't raise them the right way, or you chose not to have kids. That means you're not really coming into your womanhood. It's like no matter what we do as women, we're judged. And you captured that seamlessly. And I don't know how to get to the question, but it was so it was so good and so well written. What inspired you to have that much for women? Like what inspired you? Was it in the back of your mind to highlight these things? Or how did that come about, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so you're gonna make me cry.
I know I'm trying not to cry myself because I mean like that speech. I was like, oh, that's me.
And you really, I think, just captured the essence of the book for me, which is, when I started to write this book, I I went back to my grandmother again, and you know, a woman, as so many of the book club readers know, never finished high school, um, and yet she was the smartest woman I've ever known. I mean, she got what life was all about. Um, Plain spoken, sweet, but she got it. And, growing up with her, I was so close to her, but she didn't have any money. She stitched overalls at a factory. She never learned to drive. No power in our town, no voice in society. And over the last couple of years, um, I looked at so many, all of my friends are women. Um, my family members that I'm still that I grew up with, my great aunts, my grandmothers, my mother, were all strong women. Um, all of my all of my dear friends are women, and they open their hearts and share their souls with me, and I honor that. I know they share things with me that they don't their children or their spouses or their girlfriends often, and it's a lot of that pain and that judgment that I experience too as a gay man. I experience it
Mhm.
on a daily basis. When you just said it, at work, do you have children? Why don't you have children? That's
Yeah.
an interesting thing to wear. Have you ever thought about changing your hair? Whatever it is, these are not appropriate things that show the value
Mhm.
of someone. And
Right.
I was taken back to my grandmother, back in the 60s and 70s to today, and how much has changed, but how little has changed for women in so many respects.
Hmm.
And that's really kind of the essence of where I started the whole story with this is why do we continue to do this? Why are the central foundations of our world and our society still judged and still overlooked and still voices still unheard? And it bothers me. So that's really where I wanted to come from to start with this entire book. So I really thank you for asking that. And I'm glad that resonated with you because you know, you're incredibly smart. You read
Oh,
like crazy. Um, you both are driven, and it really does. That touches me.
well, thank you for saying that. And I want to say in the chat, a lot of people are also saying, like Marlene says, you just captured so many important themes of women's lives. And Lisette says that explains how you write your characters so vividly. And Julie says, if you've read all the Viola Shipman books, I highly recommend the Wade Rouse memoirs as well. And I have to, I'm going to go rogue a minute. I have to agree because I've shared that with you. Magic Season is one of my favorite books of all time. So I'll check it out. Anyways, but yes, you really did capture, it resonated with us and a lot of our members because, we are still dealing with all of those things. And you're right, it is inappropriate to mask and pry and just let us be.
That's just it. Let us be. Let us be. And that's what's that is what is beautiful about us as people, and that is what is beautiful about us as authors, and that's what beautiful. It's what is beautiful about books. Just
Hmm.
just we're unique souls, and that's what makes the world a better place.
Yep.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to piggyback on that a little bit, if you don't mind, because of all of those sort of negative stereotypes and connotations that you highlight in the book, there also is an undeniable thread that is about the love of books and how reading connects and changes us. So this question is for you and the book club members. So if you wouldn't mind sharing in the chat, readers, what is it about reading you love the most, and how do you, share that in your community? Obviously, we have the Friends in Fiction book club community. Wade, you have your Wine and Words with Wade and all of your other support groups. What does that mean? I'm going to turn it around for the question for you is, what does that mean to you? What does that community of readers mean to you?
Oh my gosh, I call it the same thing that I think you all say too. Really, it's people that love books, but it's bigger than that. It's a community of kindness. We say it all the
Mhm,
time. Book people are the best people, and it's true. And why is that? It's 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 we read for many reasons. We read
mhm,
to escape, we read to learn more about something, we read to travel in our mind. But what we all do is we read to take a journey from someone else's perspective. And what that
mhm,
does, no matter the book, over the course of time, that changes us profoundly as people, because we think about topics we might not broach on a daily basis. We think about serious subjects, that might make us uncomfortable from somebody's point of view that is polar opposite of us. And
mhm,
that's what we have to do. That's what we need to do to understand and to bridge divide and to understand the way the world works. It's not just us every day in our little silo existing. It is a billion people shining on this planet that come from a billion different perspectives. And the more we seek to understand those points of view, the better we all are. That's what
mhm.
books do.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's my new favorite quote.
I know, 100%. And our
I know,
members
absolutely.
they're sharing their reasons. I'll read just a few. Michelle says, I love getting lost in a story and getting new ideas and inspiration from a heroine who overcomes a challenge.
Mm.
Edie says, reading stretches and evolves my brain and life. My book friends are truly the best friends. And Leslie says, books expand my horizons. I share books with my coworkers and especially my mom. My mom is also a Wade Viola fan.
Ah, and I always say that's the ultimate compliment too. If somebody, you're not going to recommend a book you hate to somebody you love.
Right,
It's always
right,
like,
right.
if that's always the highest compliment.
That's so true.
Oh, that's
Okay,
funny.
so I have a question that's been burning for me. You had so many great names in the book. I love the Mighty Pages. But for me, I gotta know what inspired you to name the characters Gin and Juice? Was there a little Snoop Dogg inspiration there? Like,
There's a
what?
little Snoop Dogg inspiration there. Okay,
I
I,
bet
so
you no
she
one's
knew
asked
it.
you that.
so
But you
that
know what's supposed to.
that's partly, and do you know what else it is? In college, we never, in my fraternity, and I was like the little sister chairman, all the sweethearts in my fraternity. And I'm not exaggerating, there was not one person on campus that we called by their real name. Every single person we knew had some nickname of some sort. So and that's kind of the college experience that I know when we have friends whose kids are in college, and it's the same way.
Yep,
We have nicknames for each other. But
yep.
yes, you are right.
We I was like, I love in the back of my head, I was like, gin and juice. That's a good question to pose to the people in our chat, our book club friends. Do you have a college nickname? If so, what was it?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Brenda,
We might have to take extra time for that one.
did you have one?
Not in college. I did in high school, and I'm not particularly interested in shit.
Now you have to.
Okay, I'll share one. I'll share one. It was embarrassing. I was nicknamed Turtle because I was in a marching band. I played clarinet, and we had these pith helmets, and there weren't any that were small enough for me, so mine was like down here.
Oh,
I love
we
that.
were destined to be friends and co-hosts because in high school, my mom's nickname was Mama Turtle. Because if you ever watched the show Saved by the Bell, the black
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
girl characters was Lisa Turtle, and I was Lisa, and I was, a minority at my school. So they called me Lisa Turtle, and they called my mom Mama Turtle.
that's funny.
That is freaky.
Uh, do you have a college nickname, Wade?
Um, yeah, I now I have to share this because I brought it up. Yes,
Yes, you
I was called from military history, and not in the most flattering like El Duce, because I was a coordinator of everything. So anything that went on campus and in our fraternity, I was always logistically making it happen. So um, I don't know if they meant it in the kindest way, but I hope they did.
You're like, that's the way I'm taking it.
I'm gonna
That's
take
the
it that
spin
way.
we're spinning, right?
Yeah.
That's so
So
funny.
funny. We've
Well,
got
moving
some,
on, this is
yeah,
funny. Moving on from
people are
that
putting them.
question.
We'll come
Okay,
back and
yeah,
read the nicknames
yeah,
later.
we need to
Yeah.
come back and read the names. But when you mentioned that about not, I don't know, it made me think of this question because one of our advanced questions from Leah was, how did you come up with the idea of an author having a stalker? And she said, I know they're celebrities of a sort. Do you know any authors that this has happened to?
That's a great question. I will say this, I know authors that have had encounters with readers that I believe have gotten uncomfortable,
Mhm.
both online and in person. And I don't know if I shared this with you both, but I think I did. We did at
Yeah,
the
you did. I think you did.
yeah, there was an incident in St. Louis in Missouri where I used to live. I grew up in Missouri, and there was a guy that said he went to my high school, and he did not. I mean, as I told you both, my high school class had like 9 people. It was, and the Cal was the valedictorian, and it was me, salutatorian, and
I'm
we did not
sorry.
know this. That we did not know this guy at all, and he kept saying, that we went to high school. It got very weird. And he even told Gary, he said, I know Wade way better than you ever will. And so, they escorted us out a back door, made sure that he was gone. But I do almost every author I've encountered, you know, Emily Giffen, there's a lot that have shared stories where things have gotten odd with readers.
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
that your experience, that was certainly odd enough to be,
Yeah.
you know,
Alarming.
Yeah.
yeah, to be alarming. And that's the sad part. But yeah. Oh, goodness.
Yeah. That's tough.
And I always say I'm always very kind and sweet, like even to him I was, because you don't know what's going on in people's lives sometimes. And, you
Yeah.
know, to be as kind as you possibly can in the moment is what I always try to do.
Absolutely.
Kill them with kindness.
Yes.
All right. Well, Wade, we have a book club member who is going to pop in and ask you a
Ah,
question live. So I'm going to go ahead and pop her in now and
Yay.
say, welcome to Barbara in North Carolina.
She's coming on. I
Barbara, are you there?
think she's muted. Well,
and this is rare for
Barbara?
Barbara.
yeah, while she's coming on,
Yeah, we'll let her work out her technical difficulties.
yes, I do have a question from the chat that I can ask.
Yeah.
And, oop, wait a second. Are you there, Barbara?
I see you. Oh, wait, I gotta turn
Yay, we
my,
can't see you, but
I can
we
hear
can
you.
hear
I know.
you.
Hear
Yeah.
you now.
There
Yay!
we go.
Hey.
I know you.
I know you too. And I feel terrible wearing I should have like worn pink, obviously. And I do wear pink a lot of the time, but today I
You
just
look
happened to have this on.
fantastic.
You
Well,
You
thank
do.
you.
do.
It was a work day, so I was dressed up today.
Well, thank you for joining us, Barbara. What's your
Yes,
question for
for your
Wade?
book. So my question for Wade here is, I always like to ask about the title and the
Yeah.
cover. Was it always the page turner from the start, or did that evolve? I'd like to know about the title, and then I'd like to know, was the cover your idea,
Yeah.
or were you asked to give ideas? Because I know some authors, you get what you get, and you don't get
Yeah.
upset.
Yeah. And and I've mentioned this before, and it's true. Contractually, for most authors, the two things you will always lose are the title and the cover, the design, because you start with a working title for your manuscript, you submit it. I've literally had my next novel will be the first one that my working title they actually chose. I've had zero titles that have ever actually my working
Wow.
titles have ever been chosen. But
Wow.
my publisher is great because they do incorporate feedback. But they get feedback from marketing and sales and editorial, and so that all comes together, and they kind of it works well, but sometimes they can overthink it a little too much. My original title for the page turner was The Mighty Pages, which I like.
Yeah.
They thought it sounded a little too superhero-y.
Mm.
So they asked me to come up with, as many titles as I can. And this was one of I think my next favorite title. So they chose it. And then cover wise, my covers have been beautiful as
Mm-hmm.
Viola Shipman books, but I got very tired of what I called the woman looking back to the cover, looking into the distance,
Yeah.
contemplating something. That's a huge trend. And I said, please, can we rethink it and do something? And they did. I love this. It's actually my favorite
I love
novel
it.
design. I think it's perfect for spring and summer. It actually fits the editorial, which is great. So I love it. And my next novel is going to be very beautiful too.
Yeah, I love the cover too. I love the typogriter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should
I
have
do
gotten mine out.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do
based
too.
on my like childhood typewriter, so they incorporated that as well.
I still have a
Oh,
Selectric
nice.
and a little, what I don't know, what'd you call it before a Selectric? A
Manual.
Do
manual, I
you
guess,
really have
right?
a
Wow.
Selectric?
I have a Selectric and I have a manual. Sorry, it's not handy.
Wow.
I can't like go get it for you right now, but
I got asked that by a college kid at a recent event. He goes, okay, a typewriter. He goes, what's a Selectric? I go, it's actually had some movement to it.
yeah.
Barbara, you'll have to take a picture of it and post it on the
Okay, yeah, I
page.
will. I will. I'll get it. I'll get a
Okay.
picture and post it.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, thank
Great.
you.
Good. And
Thank you so
I
much,
hope to get down
Barbara.
and see you too.
I know. I know. Or I hope to get to Michigan again. Brenda
I
or Lisa,
know.
if you have never been, you need to go to Saugatuck. It's beautiful.
We're gonna make it happen.
I do want to make a trip up
We
there.
will.
I would love to.
Yes.
All right.
All
Take
right.
care, Barbara. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks for popping in. Yay.
Oh,
She's so
goodness.
sweet.
Always. No, I love her. Um, so wait, if you don't mind, can we talk about a little bit about the mystery part of this
Mm,
novel and how you talked earlier about, and I wanted to get back to this. You talked about looking at Mary Kay's novels
mm,
and being inspired by them. And one of the things you do in this book, just like she does, is there's layers.
yeah.
And you think you know the layers, and then some more layers happen. And we are, of course, spoiler for we are okay for spoilers. So if you
Yeah.
want to say some things you haven't been able to, please do.
It is, it's a mystery. It's a Michigan mystery too. But it is, I wanted to write something that really was interwoven into the storyline. And part of this was why, and this will be a spoiler, why would um, why would a woman have be forced into choosing a pen name to write her work? And as it turns out in this novel, it was not only to protect her life, but to protect her family from
Mm.
someone, and I'll keep it partially hidden, that wanted revenge against her. But I also wanted that part of the mystery to speak to the larger context of what so many women authors have faced over the course of literature, which is, not being able to have their work taken seriously, not being able to be published, not being able to write about topics that weren't appropriate at the time for women to tackle. So I wanted to do this in kind of a current manner that actually paid respect toward kind of the history of what women and pen names have meant over the kind of the course of literature. And I did. I loved it. It was fun. I didn't want to go overboard with it, but I did. There had to be a lever that Emma could pull that made sense for her to find her power in her voice, and also to kind of put into perspective her family and her parents, because these are tough characters. I usually write super sweetie much characters, and a lot. And I've heard from some readers, it took me a while. These are not the nicest folks to get to know in the beginning. It took me a while, and I wanted that. That's exactly what I wanted, because there are so many parents I know that are, and so many people that I've encountered, especially in my former career as a PR director at a prep school, that are very similar to, Piper and Philip Page, that put on this front of how they want, a very strong front, a very polished front that keeps the world at bay just enough that it lets them be treated the way they want to be treated. But, that's another big part of the book too, is, judgment, as Lisa said, not only in society, but on social media and from each other. Our parents and grandparents often put on a face that they want you to see. And
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes, as I wanted to kind of uncover in this book, it's so you're not hurt. So you're protected. They're doing the best they can in the best ways they know how. It's not perfect, but often it's the best they can do.
So true. Um, that kind of brings me to, we've had a couple of comments, or actually it was, I got a DM about this to ask you on Instagram, an Instagram question, um, to talk about Marcus Flair.
Ah,
He was rich, he was a narcissist, he was not nice. He was the eye rolling character
yes.
in the book. And the question is, did you have someone in mind that inspired him, or was it a collect that we don't have to share who it is if it is a real person, but or
I
was it a
think the
collective
answer is yes.
of a bunch of people? And
Okay.
if you've worked with someone like that, I think the question that she really wanted to know is if you've worked with someone like that, or was it a collection of people that you knew that were like that?
Let me help myself out by, and you did too. Let me say it's a collection of people. On one hand, yes, I've worked with people that are just like this, that are um, awful human beings, that only
Hmm.
look out for themselves, that only care about money, only care about appearance. I've worked with a lot of people like that. That said, this particular author is based on some authors that I have followed on tour. Um, how do I broach this? Very popular authors that are not the kindest human beings in the world.
Hmm.
That and I will say this: I am always flabbergasted when I because I truly am humbled when folks come to my events, and I never take that for granted. but I'm always shocked when I hear stories of authors that kind of, they sign but don't look up. They won't
Oh
personalize
yeah.
a book. They won't take photos.
Yeah.
They're brusque with readers. They check their watch. They don't engage with people that have taken time and paid money to be there.
Yeah.
So I've run into a lot of folks like that, and that was a basis for this. So I will say they're few and far between, but folks, they're out there.
They they exist.
They
And I
exist.
think some of us have probably encountered some like that in
And
our
it's and
in
I
our
always say
experiences.
before I was an author, I was a reader and I went to author events. And it was
Mhm.
I always was like, please, God, let them be
Mhm.
like I want them to be. Please don't let them,
Yeah.
I love the book. I want them to, and 99% of the time they were, but there was the rare occasion where you're like, ugh, and it gives you that ick. You look at
Yeah.
it like, would I buy that book again? Would I? So that's kind of what I wanted to get at.
Yeah.
Publishing is, I say it a lot, people think it's this giant world. It's a tiny,
Hmm.
it's a tiny little playground. The merry-go-round goes around and around, and the same people at this publisher end up working at this. They'll eventually work at your publisher. So be kind, be nice.
Yeah. You never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
Totally not.
Well, we're gonna switch gears a little bit. We have a question from the chat from Lisette. This is a great question because there's not many authors we can ask this to because you're amazing. Um, she would like to know if you could talk a little bit about how you approach writing your fiction versus your nonfiction.
Ah, yeah, two very different processes. And I'll hope if I can remember, I'll segue back, but very different. Memoir is how I started. I wrote 4 memoirs before I ever wrote my first Viola Shipman novel. And I approach, I think I mentioned this to both of you. My editor, who now edits my nonfiction, said writing a memoir is like um, hiking to the top of the Himalayas and packing your backpack. You can only put in so much in that backpack to get you to the top. You
Mhm.
choose very carefully what stories you're going to tell in a memoir. Um, all from my perspective, and it's what I call puzzle piecing. I know it's a deeply personal story that you want to be very universal to readers. I know the story I want to tell, but I can take bits and pieces of my life, the smallest segments in my life that are the most profound, and I can begin to put those together in a way in writing nonfiction um, that works. I call that puzzle piecing. Fiction is very different structurally. It is climbing to the top of the roller coaster and then coming down. And I can't puzzle piece a novel. I have to think very carefully from chapter to chapter where it's going to go. I do not know the characters I'm writing about, so I have to get deeply within the skins of them versus memoir where I know everybody I'm writing about. That said, I do think that writing fiction has made me a better nonfiction writer. If you read Magic Season, um, it's a memoir about me and my Ozarks father who had nothing in common but our love of baseball and the St. Louis Cardinals. Um, Fiction made me write a better memoir. I think that book is beautifully lyric. Um, it's much more condensed in style. The chapters are short. Language is more sparse. I would say that writing um, and dialogue is better, because in memoir, you can't recreate dialogue from 40 years ago. You kind of, I work around the dialogue. You talk about it, but you don't always have people saying a lot of stuff. Um, but writing fiction actually made me do that better. Writing memoir, actually, I think, as far as setting and environment, I did that, I think, beautifully in nonfiction. I think I do that even better now in fiction. Ironically, my new novel that's coming out next spring, I think is the best combination of both memoir and fiction that I've ever done. Um, it
Hey.
combines much more of my humor from my nonfiction, um, but I also think kind of the lyrical nature um, of my fiction, if that makes sense. So I really do feel like finally I was able to really merge them beautifully.
Since you brought that up, I'm gonna go a little rogue here. Can you share anything about said upcoming book?
I I can. We even I think have a publication date. It's it's very different. It's going to be my first hardcover novel under my own name, Wade Rouse. It's coming out, we
Yay!
think, March 3rd of next year, and it's called Thank You for Being a Friend. And it's about four gay men of a certain age, over the age of 60, who each have a characteristic like the Golden Girls. They perform a show, a theatrical show in Palm Springs called The Golden Gays, and
Oh my gosh, I'm so
they
in.
all live communally in this fabulous mid-century house, like the Golden Girls, um, until illness and family and secrets kind of tear at their friendship pact that they've made. And it's really a book about what I and all of my friends have gone through in our lifetime, through hell at times, to find friendship, love, companionship, and respect. And I think it's a beautiful book. It's going to be a lead title from HarperCollins next year. So I'm super excited. Um, and
Yay!
I truly hope readers love it. It's got, commercially it has a great hook, but it is freaking funny, and it is a gut punch of a book about when you think you're safe in this world and that safety is removed, how you navigate on quicksand. So I love it, and I hope you do. I'll get
I
you another
cannot
copy.
wait. I cannot wait. It sounds fantastic. I'm so
So
excited and
exciting.
congratulations for you to have your first hardcover. I was hoping because you shared that with us, but I didn't want to say it because I didn't know. So I'm so glad you shared that because we're
Thank
so
you.
excited for you.
Thank you. I'm super excited.
Brenda, I think you're muted.
Oh, yes, I am. Sorry about that. My dog started scratching at the door. It's dinner time.
It is.
In case I didn't know. I did want to ask you one final question about the plot, because you talked about the fiction versus nonfiction. What was in the page turner? What was the most difficult scene to write or to work out?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, there were a couple. One was an a conversation with Emma has a conversation with her mother before they're about to leave. The father and her are about to leave on book tour about books. She's reading romance at her grandmother's cottage, and her mother diminishes it and says, um, we have books I'll send you. So, if you're a Michigan grad, why would you read this? And my first drafts did not hit that hard enough. Not only what I wanted to say about how we judge the books we read, but the tension between mother and daughter that
Mm,
becomes incredibly uncomfortable. To the point where you think, do these two even like each other? And they do, they love each other, but they've had this history of kind of always going at each other. Because Emma was so close to her grandmother, in many ways, her mother felt alienated from that
mhm.
relationship. That was one. And I worked so very hard with my editor on that dialogue. The other was the ending, and I won't super spoiler alert, but I let I don't let him off the hook, but I
Mm.
also don't have revenge. And I went round and round in writing the end of the book and how I was going to tackle that. And as I said to my editor, men like this exist. Men
Hmm.
like this with power and money get away with it in our society. There's
Yeah.
often, no matter what they do, little retribution for their antics.
Yep. Not
So
even a slap on the wrist.
not even a slap on the wrist. So I really, and I, I worked hard and I talked with my editor a lot about this, but it was, she wins, but he also does because that's what happens
And
today.
yeah, in real life. But
So
Yeah.
that was very fun.
the
Hmm.
flip side of that is, he had to live with standing up on stage and smiling and talking wonderfully too. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
so he does. I mean, there is a penalty.
There is a penalty. And I always
But
say the hardest thing sometimes is we we know when we do wrong, and if you
Mhm.
if you never apologize or cop to it, you live with that. And that does, I think it eats at most people, no matter how awful they might be. Or I hope it does.
Yeah. Well, I have a question that I was thinking about. I'm gonna slide it in before we start wrapping up because this hour has gone by way too fast.
I know it's
So
really just
I
flying.
Fast.
know Emma's book, The Summer of Seagulls.
Ah,
Would you ever consider writing that for us to be able to read her book, maybe as a novella or
great. Do you know what?
something?
I have not considered that, but that is a great idea. A really great idea.
You're
Honest,
welcome.
I know that's,
I'm just kidding.
and I love if people haven't read it or if they have, one of my, both of my grandmothers, was a book of the time was Jonathan Livingston Seagull, which I
Oh
reference
yeah.
in
Mhm.
this. And, if you ever saw the movie, it's terrible. But the book is really, it kind of set a precedent for these types of kind of fably literature that taught a lesson. And I actually
Mhm.
read it numerous times with my grandmothers over the course of growing up, especially as I got a little bit older. And I do like that idea, Lisa. I think that's cool, maybe I might think about that. And I'll actually talk to my editor about that. There might be a way that would be
Yay.
interesting to
Wow.
actually read something from her perspective that she
Yeah, I
wrote.
thought that I was
Literally.
thinking about it last night when I don't sleep
Good.
because I don't sleep. And I was like, if I could read The Summer of Seagulls right now,
That's interesting. I like that idea.
my brain is like, and the people in the chat are like, yay, yay, yay.
What a cool
I want
idea.
to read it. So
All
yeah,
right. We start the hashtag campaign tonight.
I like that. And it's a
hashtag
good title.
Summer of Seagull. It is a great title.
Oh
You
yeah.
have great titles, names. I mean, there were so many great, the setting, well, we didn't even get into the setting, but
I
the setting,
know, and that's a big thing.
great.
It's a
You know,
that's a great
the
idea though.
settings, I feel like all of your books, the setting is like another character. Your writing is so rich in that way. And this was the same, you know.
I love setting and I love setting and it's a big character in my books and I like, as I always say, we're all impacted by setting where we live,
Yeah,
and we often become very different people when we go on vacation to places that we love and want to be. And
yeah.
I like just seeing how that really impacts people and the
I
characters.
know. I wanted to book the eyebrow cottage.
Ah,
It's
there is a similar one on the lake shore in South Haven, which is adorable. I live in a really cute resort town. South Haven is look it up online even. It is super cute. The lighthouse is beautiful. The town's adorable. It's a blueberry capital. So if you like blueberries, be an Oompa Loompa from Willy Wonka. I love blueberries.
Yay.
Oh, that's
Love
funny.
it.
Oh, well, I'm like Lisa, I can't believe it's our hour has almost passed, but I do want to make sure we let you talk a little bit about your upcoming tour dates and what's coming up for you.
and I know it's more Michigan related, but I do have a couple of virtuals. You guys kicked it off with the book club pick for May, but I'm joining. Brenda Novak is doing a virtual, the Page Turners her May book club pick, and
Yay.
there's an influencer and New York Times bestselling author named Jen Hatmaker,
Oh
and
yeah.
Page Turner is her May book club pick, and I'm doing her book club the end of uh, both the end of last week of May. And then I'm doing Michigan. Just check out appearances on the Viola Shipman website, and you can see them. But I'll be covering north, south, east, west in Michigan and a lot of appearances. I think I have 10 more in June, so folks can still catch me. And
Nice.
then I'm shutting her down and writing my next book.
Yes, because we're ready for it.
I'm
Yes.
shutting it down.
And
And for
then
our
one
readers who
thing.
want to,
Oh,
oh, go
oh
ahead,
yeah, no,
Lisa.
you go ahead. You go ahead, Brenda. I think we were going to ask the same thing.
Probably so. And for our readers who want to get a signed copy of the Page Turner or any of your other titles, where can they go?
Go to Viola Shipman and look at appearances, and check out my Facebook page. I've been posting over the last month, um, every single bookstore that I've visited that has an autographed copy. And I mean, there are many, Litchfield Books in Polly's Island, Foxtail Bookshop in Georgia, M. Judson in North Carolina, Thunder Road Books in New Jersey, Max Backs in Cleveland. Um, it's endless and lots of
Yay.
bookstores in Michigan. So please go to your indies. And if you haven't ordered the book and you are missing an autograph, you can email me via the site. Just put Gary@violashipman.com and we will mail a personalized autographed book plate to you, complimentary, that you can put in your copy.
That is so sweet. We
That
love
is so.
that. Thank you. So we have to thank you so much for joining us tonight, but we also want to thank you for thanking us in the acknowledgments. It meant the
Uh,
world to
Yes,
Brenda
thank
and
you.
I and our members. Thank you so much for that. And
I
the page turner.
and I want
Let
you
me
two to
grab my
know,
copy.
don't ever take for granted what you do. You are truly gifts to the book community, and not over that. You're just great. You're just great human beings. So um, just keep doing what you do.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much, Wade.
We love you and we love this book.
Yes, we
Thank
And
do.
you.
I read it and listened to it on audio, and both are fantastic. So for those that stuck around, make sure you get it on one or
Thank
both.
you. Thank you both for having me. It was always a pleasure, and I hope to see you soon. And good luck in August.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. Thank you. Take
Bye.
care.
Cheers.
Nighty night, folks.
Bye.
Night.
Thanks so much.
Dinner time.
Oh, goodness.
Oh my goodness, that was fun.
I love him.
I know. Me too.
He's so sweet.
And
Just,
and the in conversation with it at Foxtail was just so much fun.
oh, we had a ball. It was a lot of fun. And my cheeks
Absolutely.
again hurt from smiling, just like they did that night.
I know, me too.
Welcome to the
But
after show, guys. We have
yes,
a lot to discuss tonight.
we do. We do. And first Lisa's doing hand.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know
take a
either.
sip of my tea though, because I didn't want to drink it before,
Your
but
your
my
tea.
my no, it's Snapple. I'm not getting paid for that, but I
Sure
just
it is,
discovered this. It's
Lisa.
like my favorite thing.
I'm
Hmm.
just kidding, everybody. Um, One thing I wanted to mention was our next book discussion, because this one's going to be really wonderful too. It's going to be June 23rd for Beach House Rules with the fabulous Christy Woodson Harvey.
Yay!
Can't wait for that one.
I know, I'm excited.
And our reading challenge prompt this month, just as a reminder for
Ooh,
those who haven't done it yet, it's a book with water on the cover. So there's lots to choose from there. So there's
yes.
still time if you haven't picked your May pick. And our June challenge is a book recommended by a friend. So
That's
I'm
gonna be
curious to see.
fun.
Yeah, I want to see some posts about what people are picking. I think that's going to be a great
Well,
one.
our friend Heather did do the post, and it's under the feature tab where people can share their book recommendations. And our bunch of members have already shared it. So you can look for that post if you want to get ideas. But, reach out to some of your book club friends and kind of like Secret Santa. Switch off, say,
I
hey, I'll
love it.
recommend one for you. You recommend one for me. And when you post it, share who recommended it. So we know who recommended it if you liked it. I don't know. I guess we're going to have to, our admin team, we're going to have to pull some names and figure out who our friends are gonna be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we'll have to figure that out pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. One thing that I wanted to bring up, and you know that we've been talking about our 5-year anniversary. We have a lot of things we're gonna go over there. But Jenny from Literary Creations by Jenny still has some of our book club tote bags and book club stickers, and now is the perfect time to get them. Here's one of the lovely tote bags. Mine's a little worn because I use it, but they're so cute. And it defines truly what it's like to be a member, even down to the happy hour with Ron and going to bookish events. So you can find that post on our page on the featured tab if you want to do. You could buy a bag or a sticker, a bundle. They're there and they're available again. So, and then if you do Literary Creations by Jenny, it's so funny. We've had our little discount. It's been so long. If you use code Lisa Gets Lit, you'll get 10% off. But it's so funny. When we first did that code, our book club didn't have an Instagram page yet. So it has to be tied to an Instagram handle. And I was the
Ah,
only one that had Instagram. So that's how long ago we started working with Jenny. So yeah,
that's
if you use
funny. I'd
Lisa Gets
forgotten
Lit,
that.
you'll get 10% off. That's our code. So, anyways, that's another thing. And now, do you want to talk about the party?
I do, but you feel free to jump in anytime.
I will.
We are in the midst of planning a fabulous 5-year anniversary of our Friends in Fiction Book Club in Atlanta. And
Yay!
yay! It's going to be August 8th through the 10th at the amazing Margaret Mitchell House in Midtown Atlanta. I am so excited that we got this location. It's just really unbelievable.
It's
And I'm
beautiful.
going to try to share. It's not wanting to share for some reason. Let me try it again. Trying to share um, the, well, it's just still not doing it. I'm
Graphic?
sorry. Are y'all seeing anything?
Nope. While you're doing that, I can start to talk about a little bit about it, and
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll get to
you
it.
figure. Nope, no worries. Um, so we're live. We're in the after show, things. Oop, I see some movement here. Yay! Well, that's
Yeah, are
our
we?
first.
That's
Yep,
our
there
very
it
first.
is.
Yep, that's our first announcement. Mary Kate Andrews was the first author who confirmed for our big party on August 9th at the Margaret Mitchell House. And we
Mhm.
also have announced a second author. Lisa, do you want to tell them who that is?
That is the fabulous Colleen Oakley is joining us. And one thing that you want to do, we have our happy hour on Thursday night. And on Thursday night, we may announce our third guest at the end of happy hour to give you guys a little sneak peek before we post it on Friday.
Friday.
And
Mhm.
then we will announce the fourth guest next week and maybe a fifth guest after that. So you want to stay tuned. Happy hour is going to be so fun. We're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to announce July, August, and September book club. We have our guests, our mystery guests that we don't know,
No, but
and
what we
we're
do
doing
know,
a giveaway
yeah,
that
is
we
that they're
know.
doing a giveaway.
And he's holding all the cards.
I
So it's
know,
going to
and
be a great time.
it is.
Yeah,
And speaking of giveaways, we're going to have our next Saturday giveaway will be May 31st with Audrey Ingram giving away the summer we ran. And look at Lisa being prepared.
y'all, I loved this book. This cover is beautiful. But when I read it last summer, over a year ago, it was a PDF. And I will say the title is the same. That was the main thing when I read, I was like, whatever they do, do not change this title. It is perfect for this book. I loved it. It's so good. So you
So,
definitely want to stop by the page and try to win it. And
so
if you don't
Lisa,
win it, pre-order it.
would you say you would recommend it as a friend?
Oh yeah, that's my friend recommend. Well, wait, no. Oh yeah, it comes out June 3rd, so it'll be out in time to read it next month. So yeah, that could be my friend recommendation if you want. It's great. We're excited for that.
Oh my
um,
goodness.
we also back to the party. I think we
Yes.
forgot to talk about. I forgot to say the host. I got so excited. We also have our host hotel booked. It's the La Meridian, and we have a link to it also under the feature tab. And that's where Brenda and I and Molly and Amber and everyone, whoever's coming in from town, it's kind of like our little host area. So we can go to things together, ride to things together. And we will have a weekend of events and we'll announce more later for some of the other things. Right now, we're focusing on the main party, but we will have something Friday night and we will have something Sunday afternoon.
And the
So
hotel
stay
has
tuned.
offered a great discount code for our
Yes.
anniversary. So
So you
if
want to
you're
do
coming
it from the
in town,
link in the
yes,
feature tab. And you have to book by July 18th to get that rate. Yay!
I know. I feel like we had a ton of stuff to talk about tonight.
I know. Like, goodness gracious, did we remember everything?
I hope so. If not, we'll post it on the page.
Yeah. I mean, I still can't believe it's been 5 years. Almost. Yeah.
I
I
know.
just
I
can't.
can't believe we're organizing our own, literary event. I'm just so excited. I can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't believe it either. And we hope to see as many of you that are able to come to celebrate the community that we all are. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. And we want to
I know.
celebrate you guys. So a couple of members have
Absolutely.
booked their hotel and they're excited. And
This book
people are
community
telling us,
this
yeah,
book community has been so important. It has been so influential to me, and I'm just so grateful for everyone. So
yeah.
hopefully we can see a lot of folks in August to
Yay.
celebrate. All
Yep.
right, Lisa, I think we're done.
Yeah, I
We
think
had a
we've
lot of announcements tonight, but I'm just going to say thank you again to our book club members. It is a fantastic community, and I wanted to say good evening and happy reading.
yes. Thank you guys. We love you guys. See you soon on Thursday for happy hour, where it's also
Yes,
going to be another
this
fun night
Thursday.
this Thursday. So PB&J out.